Today I see a very nice mix of all branches. That's a very good positive. There are mechanical guys, there are electronics people.
Yeah, thank you for all for
There
joining
are
this
computer
session.
engineering folks.
Okay, I can now do the let's see how by so.
Abhi Rajnish, are you? Yeah, it's being recorded. Like this.
I am not sure why it is not showing the full screen.
Sir, it's fine. It's visible.
Yeah, maybe something is then this. Now is okay.
Yes, I think yeah.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Abid Bhai, and member of the robotics club and coordinator of the robotics club for letting me in for this talk. The talk is on robotics and design thinking. Uh, yeah, so as Abid Bhai rightly pointed that I graduated from ZHCT in the year 2011. So this is uh, giving me a nostalgic feeling that the alma maters are here and I am presenting to them. It's a great opportunity for me to share my experiences, the journey. So after completing my master's from Aligarh Muslim University ZHCT, I moved on for my PhD, though it was not planned. So I just after completing BTech, it was like placement was there, and then one generally plans to go for joining some company. But due to some delay in the joining, we joined the master's program, and then after completing first semester, then I decided yes, I think it's also a good field to explore, and definitely the value of higher education is increasing day by day. So I feel fortunate to pursue higher studies. Then I moved to IIT Delhi for my PhD. Then I passed in the year 2017. My guide was Professor S.K. Saha, who is at present coordinating the robotics, huge robotics fund in IIT Delhi at present. So there is a funding at IIT Delhi from the government of India, and after my PhD was mostly into industrial robotics. It was on system identification, where I was involved in identifying the kinematic and dynamic parameters of the industrial manipulator that we purchased, and I was working under a project granted by Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So it was again like a good opportunity for me there, not just like uh, as a PhD student. I was also doing deliverables for the project that was granted by Spark. It was on tele-manipulation of industrial robot for a given specific task. They need to put the radioactive pellets using industrial manipulator inside a tube. So we were involved in that activity as well. So we need to calibrate and identify those parameters. So I aligned my PhD as per the project requirement as well. After just after submission of my thesis in 2017, I got an opportunity to join as a postdoctoral fellow at Singapore University of Technology and Design. It's a unique university in itself because it's a smaller university. Most of you are familiar by NUS and NTU, but this is a new public university where the strength is small, around 500 students are there. The faculty to student ratio is very good, and I am associated with engineering and product development pillar with Professor Mohan Rajesh Ilara, so he's leading our RORE lab. So the name of the lab is RORE, Robotics and Research Lab. So this is a brief that from AMU to SUTD, the brief journey. So it's like continuous. I didn't join any company in between, but yes, now I am also involved in one of the startup from our lab uh, that I will be presenting during the talk. So there is one section in which I will talk about robotics startup as well, which I am also an active member at present. So yes. So let me just start with as per the topic of the evening is robotics. So these are the different domain that we are familiar with. Most of us are familiar with, especially the members of robotics club. They might be even using education robots. So as I told, my PhD was.
Amir, sorry.
Yeah, my voice is not.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There is a slight break in your voice. Yeah, there is some slight break in your sound. So I think if you can turn off your video, I think it can be
My video
probably
is on
better.
or what? My video is on at present.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn it off. Okay. Is it okay now? Hello?
Yeah, I mean, there have been slight breaks in your sound in the middle, but otherwise it's audible.
Okay, okay. So, I continue, right? Then, as I mentioned that my PhD topic was on industrial robots and its identification. So one of the major robotic area is industrial robots, where lots of companies are there, KUKA, ABB. So even just for information, like even the robotics club students can apply and approach these companies for the internship. They open these positions. I know few people, so that they went for training in these company in Germany. KUKA is a German-based company. Then we have aerial robots. Then like everyone is now fascinated with drones, and lots of application, immense application is there for these robots. There are lots of groups which are working in this area throughout the world. The famous professor is Professor Vijay Kumar. I think he's in Caltech. Please check on it. So he is a very famous name. He's a celebrity of this field. Then we have education robots. So these are few of the famous education robots that are being used in universities. Now Robot. I also would like to share that the CEO of this Now Robotics is from India, and even from my hometown, Patna. So his name is Amit Kumar Yadav, and after his PhD, he started this. Then we have another domain is of mobile robots. Most of the robotics lab activity revolves around making a mobile-based platform. So this is from IIT Delhi itself. The video is there on YouTube, and it is under the RoboMuse 5. So this activity is led by Professor Saha, and one of the student Rishabh Agarwal. He started one company, PS Robotics. You can see like the person leading the efforts and involved in the robotic club activity is now having his own startup after doing his MS from US. Rishabh returned back, and now he's doing a startup there in India, and it's progressing very well. So it's the transition of the effort that they were continuously put throughout the BTech program. So I was there during PhD, and I was mentoring Rishabh as well, and even we talk oftenly these days as well. So we have another domain of soft robots where we scientists works on actuators, the novel principle of how we can gain soft grippers so that it is able to have a tactile and exert less force on the object and deforming. As Abid Bhai was mentioning on, like there are teams working in underwater robots. So this is from India, CMERI lab at Durgapur. So this is one of the group which I also worked for. I went there to provide, they were looking for some kinematic parameter identification for their robot, which they bought long back. So the parameter was not known to them. So they came to know that I was pursuing my PhD topic on kinematic parameter and dynamic parameter identification. So they called upon. So at CMERI Durgapur, they are actively involved in the underwater robotics. They have very nice lab there. Even the students, I would encourage to look for the internship position, approach them for the internship position, because I think one of the best lab in India in underwater robotics, and they are really doing good job. This is from the McGill University I visited last year. So there also a group is involved under I think Prof. Angelis, who is performing the underwater robots, and they have a huge funding there. So anyone interested in PhD, they can even looking abroad for masters and PhD, they can approach this group who are interested in underwater robotics. And this is reconfigurable robots, which I am now like associated with. So I will be briefly talking about reconfigurable robots today, so that it will also give a flavor to the audience today, and that what reconfigurable robots are. As the name suggests itself, right? The reconfigurable, so it must be some changing shape and for some specific task. So after coming here, I was introduced to this field, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn the jargons of this field, like the kinematic modeling, dynamic. Earlier, I was familiar with the industrial robot, which are fixed in nature; they don't move. But reconfigurable robots are like having novel design feature as well, and they have immense application. And our group is, I think, the first in the world to look for the application for reconfigurable robots. Even if you will search on Wikipedia at what reconfigurable robots is, you won't find any application out of reconfigurable robots. Still, the scientists and researchers are involved in developing novel mechanisms, control schemes, simulation. But as such, of application aspect, there are very few. And our group is exhaustively working in this area, and we are just next to MIT in terms of publication, and I think we are the first only in the world to come up with novel application with the design philosophy of reconfiguration in robots. So on this slide, actually I can observe that there is a lag because I'm changing it here, and it is changing after some time. This is, I think, the issue with Google Meet, or I'm not sure. So self-reconfigurable robots possess the ability to autonomously change their shape and adapt optimally to the specific task of the environment. Really a bit A is there, because I already shifted my slide. And just to check here, you can see slide number 4, right? Not 5, because I'm on 5.
No, sir.
Okay.
I think I'm seeing 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm just.
There is some lag.
Yeah, and lag is also like of 20-30 seconds. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. Let me
Yes,
do.
now it's fine.
Yeah. So these robots possess the ability to autonomously change their shape and adapt autonomously. They have varying morphology, and the application of these is like they have the feature of multi-ability. It can evolve, it can survive. So multi-ability, evolvability, and survivability are the functionality associated with these class of robots, and they are robust in terms of application. And there is a significant technology breakthrough beyond the state of the art are essential for realizing self-reconfigurable robotic systems that provide substantial leap in a capability. So our group is looking at its application, and on right there is this modular robot they call it, so they can join together to form and perform shape-changing task. These are modular in nature. I think the name is Atron. At the bottom, you can see it is a Scorpio bot, which can crawl, roll, and climb wall as well. So this is the outcome from our lab only. This was the project granted by MINDEF. So defense over here. So I won't be talking much on this today. So let me just start with video, because just talking doesn't make sense. It should be backed with video, and I would suggest all of you always prepare good videos from out of your project, so that you can put it in your profile. So yeah, this robot is named as H-Tetro. So I will even ask in between, so feel free to answer my queries if because that makes more interactive. Otherwise I speak and it gives me a feeling like no one is listening. So you can come in between to ask questions as well when I allow to do so. So yeah, so this robot is inspired from tiling. I hope most of you are familiar with tiling that we used to speak, that we used to play during our childhood. So that can change its shape. So this is inspired from that concept, and this robot is named as H-Tetro, H for horizontal, and Tetro is basically from Tetris, and it can change its shape in I, J, L, O, S, T, and Z configuration. So at the same time, you can see the application of this. So this is a typical Roomba robot that is there for floor cleaning, and they have sold million units worldwide. But again, this has a fixed morphology, and it cannot access these areas. So this is the experiment that we experimental setup that we developed for proving the advantage of reconfigurability. So there is a camera mounted on top, and this can access the narrow passages. And with this, that was the prototype that we developed earlier. Now we are using it for floor cleaning application. And as you can see, this is the area coverage that we show with. And the advantage is, as it can change its shape, it can even do the fishbone trajectory to cover the area. So this is the team involved under Prof. Mohan, who is working on tiling robotics. So again, this is the new branch of robotics that we are pitching in to the community under the name of tiling, because tiling also mathematician developed a lot of theorem and formulas for how to tile a given space so that it can be covered, the area coverage can be maximized. So the theory backup is taken from there, and we are adding on to the aspects of research and development through this robot. This is one of the publication that I did. So before going into that, as the term reconfigurable robot, right? So we have these 4 blocks, and 4 blocks is joined with a hinge joint. There is a motor at each of the intersection of the blocks. So we can place motors in 2 different ways in this. So one is LLL, all the hinge joints are in left side, and then in another case, 2 of the hinge joints are on left and one is on the right. So in this work, we try to estimate the energy required during the reconfiguration. So this is the Newton-Euler concept. If there are master students here or PhD students, they are familiar. I think even BTech students, and even we study Newton equations in our +2. So Euler basically deals with rotation aspect, and Newton is for the linear motion. So this is some of the simulation work done in MATLAB to calculate the energy required during the reconfiguration. So the approach used was Newton-Euler. This is the experimental setup where we have the current sensor for each of the motor, that how much current is drawn, and we log the data of the current, and then during reconfiguration, this is the variation of the current. So only one joint is actuated during this reconfiguration. So you can see the current is varying for that joint only, and there is a noise. So always remember that when you perform experiment, there is bound to have a noise there is altogether a research field at how to study noise and model noise. I'll not go into direct details. So just like keep these keywords in your mind, so that if you do some analysis, if you face some issue, so that you can refer back. Okay, there might be some noises from the sensor that are coming during my experiments. I would suggest to note down or remember these keywords. Yeah. So we calculated the power that. Can anyone tell me, like, what is the equivalent of how we calculate mechanical power? Just a quick response from anyone of the audience, please. Hello, am I audible? Anyone can answer that how we calculate the power, mechanical power, if we know
RPM?
Yeah, it's like just for hint, like there is a force multiplied by some quantity that gives us power. Yeah. So someone wrote correct. I can see. Yeah. So we calculate the power using force into velocity, or torque into angular velocity. So with that, we have calculated the mechanical power, and then using these electrical data, that current into voltage gives us also power. So one is calculated in simulation, another by experiment, and then we compare those results in for all the possible reconfiguration from one shape to another. So this was one of the work that I was involved earlier when I joined, and this is how we presented that if a reconfiguration happens from, say, I to I, there is no movement, so there is no power consumption, it's zero. Then from I to J is 2.99 watts. So and so forth. So if someone is interested, they can refer to this work. So just I want with this, the takeaway would be like while making a bot, you can calculate the power in this way in simulation as well as in experiments using a current sensor attached with the motor. This is again, as I mentioned, like tiling robotics is the word coined by our lab, and we are extensively publishing in this area. So that was related to hardware development. We have different, because that is modular in nature. We do lots of permutation and combination with shapes, with number of blocks in this field. And this is might be interesting for the computer science engineering student, because one of the intern came to our lab. His name was Anirudh. He came from IIT BITS Pilani to do internship, and during that internship, he did a good job. In simulation, he calculated that this to cover the area, how many shape changes by these 4-block robot is required. So if these are the like fishbone structure or spinal cord structure kind of thing, and then if we want to access this area, how the robot will reconfigure. And this was based on the machine learning approach. And in that work, he compared different path planning algorithms, that is zigzag, spiral, greedy search, genetic algorithm, and the proposed method using a machine learning approach. So again, this is just a takeaway for the robotics lab students and the graduate students, that there are a lot of opportunities in the labs at IITs, even outside the world. So you can approach these labs for your internship, so that it also strengthens your concepts, and even it gives opportunity to travel, and travel results in learning experience that you cannot even learn from books. So this is another reconfigurable robot from our lab that we have developed for drain inspection, because in Singapore there is a chain of underground drainage system which they wanted to inspect and map. So, and there are level changes in that. By level change, I mean, you can see in the figure here that there is a step change of up to 1 meter. So we have been specified that there is a level shift of up to 1 meter in these kind of drainage system. And in the bottom, just for the audience today, for my mechanical engineering juniors, this can anyone tell, like, does it ring a bell in your mind looking at this figure at the bottom, like what it is? Because this
So,
is, yes.
it involves the calculation of the different parts that you should do in order to bring out a particular outcome from
And what this mechanism
mechanism.
is, what this mechanism is.
Is that a piston, hydraulic piston?
Yes, this is a piston, but overall, how many links are there? There are 4 links. So in I think kinematics of machine in your second and third year, we exposed to a lot of theoretical analysis of velocity and acceleration diagram of some mechanism. Now, can I get the answer? What is that?
Sir, this is a 4-bar mechanism.
Yes, exactly. It is a 4-bar mechanism, and you can see, like, the principle is so theory is also very important. You cannot ignore that. Like, that gives you strength to do the analysis when you go out, or you do performance, or you do some experiments, or you write some paper, or you do analysis. So theory is like backbone of the development work. So one cannot ignore the pool of knowledge that we acquire in class. It's just like how much we get involved with that and how much application we see into those mechanisms. So it apart from just
Slider crank.
yeah,
Slider crank mechanism.
yeah. So it's a closed 4-bar. It's with an inversion. So it is basically R, and P. This is prismatic joint. So this is one of the inversion related to 4-bar mechanism. So you can go back and maybe explore more that how these legs are actuated, then the kinematics and inverse kinematics, that how much we should actuate, how much we should change the angle to reach to a given point. And yeah, I will play the video to give a feeling. So this was my second project here, which I led a team. So we have even very good design engineers, Dr. Karthik. So I think his design intuition are very good, and we discussed through the starting phase of this, and we developed this test bed to test the level shifting capability of this. And these are the gate that is being taken by this drain inspection robot. And these wheels are, like, again, novel development from our lab. We also got the patent out of this, which I will show, like, what are the features of that wheel. So basically, in robotics, there is a portion of cake for everyone, be it mechanical, be it electrical, be it electronics, be it architecture. So even before coming here, I thought, okay, what architecture people will do, but now they play a very important role because now they are developing futuristic building which will have the human-robot coexistence. So now they need to redefine the designing of a space. So that is another field that that one of in our lab we do research on that. We have architecture graduates like BArch in our ZHCT. Then that fellow, his name is Matthew. He is pursuing his PhD in robotics. So I'm looking at the futuristic design of a building and interiors so that human and bot can coexist easily, because whatever we designed yet till now is human-centric, not robot-centric. So as I told that the wheel is one of the novel development from our lab, and it is labeled as OSFEEL, like the acronym for omnidirectional spherical wheels. And omnidirectional, I hope, like in the word itself is familiar with the. I hope like all of you are familiar with its omnidirectional and holonomic wheels. So this is basically having a two active rotation. Basically, one like a simple wheel, and the other is is in the orthogonal to it. Basically, one is like wheel, like in car or bicycle, that is one direction of rotation, and another is perpendicular to that. So just to ask, like, again, like, have you ever observed this kind of mechanism in anywhere in any of the movies or anywhere? Any answer that any movie have you observed this?
Dark Knight.
Yes, right. So we got the inspiration from there, and then we spatially arrange these gear mechanism. The transmission is done in such a manner that it allows for two orthogonal rotations about it. Yeah, so then we have, because this is modular, you can club it into four, as it was visible in case of Tarantula. Now we tested its feature holonomic capability by mounting it on using two of these wheels, and this is one of the like nice video that we took. There are other, I think most of the robotics club people must be familiar with the Omni wheel and Mecanum wheel. We use it for holonomic locomotion, so that bot can move from point A to point B without steering. So it has the capability to move in any direction at any point of time. So this is an add-on to that apart, because those wheels on specifically Omni wheels and Mecanum wheels are meant for indoor environment. For outdoor, there are passive rollers, and the dust particles, the hair, those all things get strangled inside the wheel, and that gets it jammed. So you can see the opening. So even we have designed the cover for it, so it is like completely sealed, so that the outer particles cannot get in. So this is one of the work. Again, the wheel is patented, and then after that we have put our work in one of the esteemed conferences in robotics, that is IROS. It is this year. It is held in, I think, Las Vegas, in USA, but due to this COVID situation, the travel is restricted, and they have even waived off the fees for because generally they charge a good amount. I think for the paper, after the paper acceptance, they the charge is around, I think, 1,200 USD or something. So there is again one takeaway for all the participants here, that you all must join this conference, because this is for the first time. The conference is free, and they will do the whole robotics community will be there, ranging from the people from mechanism, people from autonomy, control, biomechanics. So all sort of like exposure you will get there. There are very good professors who always visit these conferences, and really the impact of this conference is very high. So in robotics, there are basically two high impact conferences, and it is equivalent to journalism. One is ICRA, and another is IROS. So I would urge everyone here to do join this conference. They are, for the first time, they are giving it like just you need to log in, and you can access these sessions, because the sponsors are ready to bear the cost of this. So it is from October 25 to November 25. There are a lot of workshops. So it's a great learning platform for all of us, actually. And it's under the banner of IEEE. So that was brief on different aspects of reconfigurable robot. There are few more architectures that we have developed, but these architectures I was closely involved and monitoring the development activity as a postdoctoral fellow here. So that was about the reconfigurable robotics to the audience. I hope it was interesting to look at the application of reconfigurable robots in the real domain, be it cleaning, inspection, or maintenance task. This is just I summarized for today, like what robotics is about, because often during our undergraduate we get this confusion that okay, I'm from mechanical, what should I do in robotics lab, or I am from electrical, what should I be contributing in robotics lab. So I'm not like only saying like you should. There are other clubs as well, but this is one of the I think area where you can see your knowledge in practice. So before coming here, the experimental exposure for me was with an industrial robot, but after coming here, it's a lot of new learning process, because we are also involved in designing of mechanism. We have team, it is a teamwork. So people from different background, like mechanical, architecture, then computer science, then electrical, electronics, all of them come into on this platform to develop a particular architecture. So robot making is like design, mechatronics, materials, sensors, actuators. Then we have actuation. Then there is another field named robot control that deals control theory. There are a lot of courses even for our UG. When I was doing, there were control theory courses for mechanical and electrical people are expert in that. Then automation, AI, computer science, electronics. Everyone is. I think AI is like creeping in every domain, medical sciences, banking. Like it will is like now essential tool in every domain. And then there is cybersecurity. Then you have this probabilistic reasoning, estimation theory, decision making, self-organization. So these all comes under the heading of robot control. Then we have sensing and perception, that machine vision. Like we use a lot of sensors, right? Because like in robotics, one of the things that roboticists try to do is imitate nature. They take inspiration from human. They take inspiration from animals. So the bot which I showed in named as Tarantula, it was also inspired from the giraffe, the gait of the giraffe that we explained in that work. So if we observe the nature, there is even a very nice lecture on YouTube by Prof. Sufyan Beg, which I recently got to go through, and where he emphasized on how the research progress and how a researcher should observe things in nature, because that is very important. That gives you like out of the box thinking rather than just looking at the equations as it is. Then we have software interfaces like device drivers, like electronics and electrical people are expert in these domain. Then interface of status access, data logging, simulation of robots. We have now like ROS-based platforms, which is like essential for any roboticist at present to use, because they provide a repository of easy usable packages that can be integrated with your mobile robot. Because see, you cannot develop everything from scratch. Everything is available in robotics at present with Google and everything. Everything is present. You just need to like first fix on your design thinking process, what you are designing for, which is my next topic, what I will just briefly go through. So let me just check like how much time I have, because I can speak around 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes is okay, or 1.5 hours. Hello.
We had this scheduled till 7:30, but
Okay,
I think you can.
6:30,
Yeah, you can
7.
go. Yeah, you can have an extra 15 minutes of question answers after that.
Okay. So I'll then quickly go through the things that I. So as like we can't do everything, so you don't get disheartened that you don't know control, you don't know like machine learning or being a mechanical engineer, you don't know about PCB. just this robotics club will provide, or any robotics club in any of the colleges like this, provide a good platform to learn and observe each aspect of the robot, of a given robot. So I again encourage to participate in it and try to correlate your knowledge that you are learning in classes to the development that is going on. Definitely there are, because all the development is based on the knowledge that we gain in classes. So the next part of my talk is on design thinking. This is a convergent divergent graph for the design thinking process, because as in previous slides I mentioned about, there are a lot of area in which one can think and one can develop the robotic solution. So, but this is a generic thinking process that to start with to come up with any solution. So there is an opportunity space where we need to discover, and basically that deals with identification of the problem statement through collaboration, through stakeholders. So if any company wants, say, like robots for watering the plant, so then they are the stakeholders for that, and then you need to engage with them, you need to talk, you need to do the background research for it, and then have an empathetic mindset during that phase of design thinking, that what are the possible scenarios that comes for a given problem statement. Then we need to define, so after all the background tasks done by engaging with the stakeholders, that what they need out of a given robotic solution in a given domain, or be it in generic like any design process, then you need to after that, that is basically a divergent phase where you keep yourself open to gain, to basically let your flight of imagination be free to come up with n number of solutions. Then you try to converge, and that phase is basically defining it, that okay, which are the feasible solution, what are the market, which can be marketable, then have that visual model in your mind, because right now you haven't started preparing the prototype that will come in the development phase. So have a strong visualization of what you are going to do and how you are going to do for coming up with a design solution. So specifically in this talk, let's say, because we are now dealing with robots, so robotic design of a robot for a given task. Then we need to develop, in that phase we need to have a cognitive mindset, that we ideate by discussing with our friends, engaging in group activities, coming up with viable practical solutions that can be integrated with the previous two phases, that the outcome of the previous two phases, that is discover and define. Because after discover and define, you will have n number of solutions. Then you need to develop, then you need to converge. So this is the converging phase, where you need to come up with lesser number of set, and that will be feasible for you to develop. Then again, during development phase, if I talk about, say, robotic club activities, definitely you can correlate it easily. Like when you develop, you go for selection of actuators, selection of sensors. There are thousands of actuators in the market. There are thousands of sensors in the market. How to select them? So first, you basically diverge. You search for n number of the possible solution that exists to help you for your prototype that you are developing. So in that phase, again, we diverge to do the component selection and several other things that are there during the development phase, like the strength of the given frame, whether it will be or not. So you modify again and check, like, okay, whether it is fail safe or not. Then for the delivery, because there is also a deadline for everything, it is not anything like open-ended. You are doing it for infinite time. So you need to then after that converge towards your solution that you want to come up with. Suppose it's any RoboCon, you are taking participation in in this Robocon. So after doing all this, the previous two convergent and divergent process, and then again convergent process, you try to consolidate everything and then quickly assemble and come up with a prototype that is as per the requirement. Basically, that output is the solution that you are looking at, and you try to then um, uh, uh, revise your prototype that you develop, and then converge towards the goal that is desired out of it. So this is a typical design process which every individual in any phase of life, it is so generic that it can be related to every aspect of life, because every then and now we are taking some decision. So even it is a decision making process as well. Like, you first let your mind open for everything, and then you converge towards what you desire is. Even it is related to like selecting your career path. So it's very generic. Then the approaches that are there, this is one of the work from one of the professor here, Professor K.L. Wood. I took it from his paper because this is what I observed. Like, we follow it extensively. One is inductive approach, another is deductive approach. So in an inductive approach, we start with we search all the product patents, whatever in the market there is. Then we study the product patents that are there. Then we identify relevant functions that are useful to us, and then we derive principle, and then we design. Right. Then the other approach is deductive approach. That is, first we don't search anything, we don't Google, we don't do anything. It's just the open thinking that comes in my mind. Be it like anything, if you let your thinking be open, and just list down everything, and then hypothesize the need and the possible solution, then identify relevant function that can be taken out of your thinking process, and then drive the principles for coming up with a design. So it's like one is top down and another is bottom up. So one is Aristotelian approach or deduction, that is theory, hypothesis, observation, and then confirmation. In Sherlock Holmes, like most of you, I think, have watched that series, where that detective first, he observes everything, and then he comes to a conclusion. So it's like that approach is called deductive approach. These are some of the methods that will help you in driving the principles. So for any of the robotic tasks you do, you search your you come up with existing principles, then experience, then derivation of design practices, derivation from the laboratory experience, derivation, design expert observation. And these are the sources that you can search to come up with a particular solution. So you do extensive search. There is a Google Scholar nowadays. It helps. There are a lot of literatures available to assist you for coming up with these principles. Then there are consumer products that you can observe. Then there are patents. Then designers. Even nature is a good source to drive your principles. So these are the three aspects we look in our lab design. Apart from design of robot that everyone do, we also do design by robot and design for robot. As the time is limited, I will just skip. Maybe some other time I will talk on this aspect. Then always keep in mind, whenever you are designing, always design a thing by considering it in a next larger context, like a chair in a room in a house in an environment, an environment in a city plan. So like everything should be like coherent. It should not be like look like an odd man out. If you keep anything disorganized in your room, it will be odd, and it won't serve its purpose. So always think in a larger context at what it is meant for. These are some of the activities that I thought of to share with you, but maybe some other time. Again, to have some interaction with the audience, can you guess the name of? There are two drawings over here, on the right. So can anyone tell, like on the top, that design is designed by whom, and at the bottom, that design is given by whom? Basically, that this is the sketch by some of our ancient scientists. Can anyone tell, like who has designed the top one? Can I have any answer?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. The top one is from Leonardo da Vinci, right? May I know your name, please? Abhishek, is it?
Zad Akhtar.
Zed. Okay. And the bottom one? Yes. okay, what that design is telling you, what that design is telling, what it is meant for. Maybe
Irrigation.
yeah. So we use some like what that's a Pelton turbine or whatever it is. So I don't remember those things. Yeah. So yeah. So this is the scientist's name is Al-Jazari. He was also like he developed multiple mechanisms and design concepts. So what my purpose over here is like, it starts with a sketch. So always like pin your idea in form of sketches. So they first depict what they thought of in terms in design in terms of hand sketch. And he was from Mesopotamia, and he was before Leonardo da Vinci. So he was around in 11th century, and he is a polymath. He has given his contribution in multiple fields. I came to know by coming here. They have these design courses which I basically taught here as a teaching assistant as well in one of the semester, and I saw these drawings in the design books, and the purpose they meant for, like Leonardo da Vinci and then Al-Jazari, etc., etc. So it is like if time would have been there, then I would have talked more on these activities, maybe some next time. But we have developed one more robot that is designed as per the environmental requirement. So these are the typical pavement structure that are often we encounter in our cities. What we observe is they are of varying width, and even these pavements are cohabited by the pedestrians. So over here you can see these are the pedestrian, and typically the present machine that are pavement sweeping machine are of fixed form, like Green Machine, Mingo, Jotson, and these are the dimensions that are taken from their specs. So what are the limitations with these designs are if the pavement is having a lesser width, generally the pavement varies from 0.7 to like 2 meters, and even there are pavement of larger width as well. So our objective was to come up with a design that fulfills this requirement of adjusting itself in a multiple width pavement scenario, and even as it should not obstruct the pavement density, because in V hours the number of pedestrian increases, and the machine also needs to give a way to the pedestrian, because pavement are made for pedestrian, not for machines. So these are cleaning machine, and this was developed again from our lab that can reconfigure. This is the animation proof of concept. So one thing which I observed is like even the like involving architecture people, they are very good at these software like Inventor and Maya, the animation software. So they help us in coming up with visualizing the concepts. This is the design, the mechanism used for changing its width, that it can expand and contract. And we have used the differential wheel at each of so there are in total 8 wheels, 8 motors for locomotion, and this pavement sweeping robot can reconfigure itself while moving. It can have multiple gates for reconfiguration that I'm trying to show here. It can move the center can move in a straight line, and it can reconfigure. So all these experiments were done, and then we move ahead with autonomy with a Velodyne sensor that we have in our lab for the 3D mapping and localization. And there are a lot of repository on GitHub for these localization approaches, which our team uses. These are the vision-based reconfiguration approach that we adopted, that if a camera detects a person, the robot needs to reconfigure itself to give a way to the pavement, to the pedestrian. So I'm just going fast now because I think I have less time now. So I'll just quickly go through how much time I have. Right, 1 hour. I have 15 more minutes. Half an hour.
I think you can cover this one. Yeah.
Okay. So now after this, I'll briefly talk about the robotics startup that I think most of the Robot Club members also think of coming up with something that has its substantial value in the market. But robotic startup is unlike from other startup because at present I'm also extensively involved in this activity, which I'm going to share with you all. What I observe is like this is from quote from Phil Duffy. He is a design engineer in one of the company in US. So his quote is, if a startup is marathon, a robotic startup is a decathlon. Can anyone guess like who are these marathon runners? Can anyone name them? Just so at the back is Farah from England, and this is the famous person who recently broke the world record. The name is pronounced in like Eliud Kipchoge, something like that. And decathlon is an event where like multiple expertise is required. It's not like just you need to run. It's like you need to have different kind of skills to come up with a robotic startup, because you need people from electrical, electronics, architecture, mechanical, civil, everyone. Like everyone has their own contribution. So we have now come up with one of the education robot named as Yali Robotics, which we target at transforming learning with transforming robots. So again, you will appreciate like just from the development that was there for research purpose first, then its application for cleaning, and now it is being transformed for the education robots. So these are the typical education robots that are there in the market. Their cost price is very high. They are even not open source, and they have their own architecture and that they don't allow to like to manipulate. And then this is Now Robot, which are used in most of the universities. I even mentioned earlier in the earlier slide. The manufacturer is from Thoughtbot. The price is significantly high. It's around 20,000 SGD. Then there are this I-90 and then Alu Robot. Even the price factor is high, and the learning curve is not very well defined out of this robot. It's like more of like a toy. So what we are targeting is like to come up with a tile based robot which can change its shape, and it will be an open source. So this is the inspiration that was for this tile robots and the tiling game which I was mentioning about, which can change its shape. These are the features that we are working on. So it was conceptualized, I think, a year back. We started working on it from say March 2020, and then because of COVID, the thing a bit slowed down, but still we have finalized the design, and we are now looking for manufacture in Taiwan, in Malaysia, maybe in India as well, for manufacturing and assembling it. But due to the COVID, it will be mostly done in Singapore and then shipped to India. So the features that are associated with it is like faster in response, ROS enabled, easy to charge. It has interactive LEDs. It has an app which one can use for manipulating the Tile bot, and we will also provide a learning module with it. So it's not like just give and let it be open. Every semester we are targeting to give up to work with academia, and even we will give some baseline that these are the projects that electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and electronics engineers can pursue, because even in COVID, right, these situations are letting us away from our lab. So if one has this bot with them, they will be easily doing experiments and projects at their home. So that's what we are targeting at. So these are the founder. So he is one of Professor D. Murugesan. He is a chancellor from Priest University, who is like a co-founder of this company, and his university has already committed 2,000 units of the bot, Tile bot. Then Madhu Kumar Kannan is the director. He is Prof. Mohan Rajeshidara, and these are the executive members which are there. So at present, depending upon my interest, at present I am given with the opportunity to take the technical development lead of this project. So I have a short video to show you that how the first version looks like. This is just a work of 3 months that students came up with, because we have the knowledge base already existing, but still you need to work. So there is a PCB design parts, 3D printed parts, even the packing is done in the lab. So we have input from architecture people, then we have these interns and research assistant data. So altogether, a team of 5 people came up with this in the month of in a span of, I think, 3 months. But definitely the knowledge base was existing with us. So it can change its shape after assembly. You can integrate it with your mobile app. And the best thing that we are looking forward to provide the university with is the open source ROS based learning, and even we are developing pedagogy tools for it, so that there is a well-defined projects that are there for every branch. So there is a, like, again, you can do kinematics, dynamics, even fluid mechanics. We have now thought of how to integrate that. So we can mount one container filled with liquid and observe its slosh link. So with all this, we are targeting to come up with pedagogy support for this bot targeted at engineering colleges, India and abroad. Another advantage that also, like, the Singapore government is helping us in coming up with a robotic competition that we are targeting for the year 2022, 2 years from now, so that it will be an international event where the colleges will take part. So we will first put at like a national level competition, and then from there it will be an international level competition. So there is a lot of support from the government in getting this done in the span of 2 years. And even we have now the other chain design for coming up that will attach with this family of YALI robotics. So it is really a nice learning process here, like how the startup works, how there are n number of things that needs to be taken care of. Maybe I will talk on these aspects of startups in detail some other time if we organize some talk. Then we are looking at these competitions based on, again, the tiling concept, that tile game, and then there is a start to finish that you need to take these shapes and then finish the path planning. And then we have these maze to solve based on changing the shape. So I will now conclude the things with saying, like, being associated with Robotics Club, you people can, like, even look for Robotics Decathlon, that is basically translating your thing into a startup. Because see, irrespective of any company, what I find is, like, there is a lot of industry backup in Aligarh for lock manufacturing, right? So they must be needing some robotic solutions there. So just it's matter of, like, you search, go after them, talk to them, get the problem statement, do the projects, deliver the projects, let it fail a number of times, doesn't matter, but finally at the end of the day you will have that learning curve that will be essential for irrespective of which area you go. Like, I'm not telling everyone like everyone should go for robotics, everyone should go for PSUs, or everyone has their own interest. But what this process let the students learn is the teamwork, the imagination, the application of the knowledge we learn in classes from our teachers to apply it, because nowadays we have even a lot of open source knowledge available for us that can be easily integrated. So this gives opportunity to the students to learn teamwork, to see their thinking, what they thought, right? It really gives you a pleasure when you see your dream in reality. Basically, like you thought of like this should come, this should look like this, then you design it with the sensors and all the analysis, and then you did the testing, like teleoperated that robot for a given task. It really is, it gives a satisfaction, right, to see your thinking process and learning process in function, be it small, big, doesn't matter. So this is again just a takeaway that it's a multidisciplinary team that needs to be built. Everyone has their own share, and they got to get to learn interdisciplinary things. So you engage yourself in discussions, in talks there. So this all are like essential aspect in the present uh, environment, and basically the industries are looking for the skills that are uh, learned through these activities. So it's always good to get associated with some of the clubs, be it robotics club or be it literary club or anything that gives opportunity to even mutually respect each other. So sometime even like earlier it used to happen to me, okay, I don't know anything, but sometimes the other also don't know anything. So it's okay, like, but have that mutual respect for everyone, and honor the idea given by them. Think on that, because you never know if someone says anything that can click. So you even share your ideas, take the ideas of other. Like that's why I that is the very important curve that I showed for the design think process, like convergent and divergent process. So keep yourself open, and have the respect for everyone, that definitely there is something to learn from everyone. That approach will lead you to like lead anyone to basically learn a lot of things. Then look at the deliverables and the values, then have the model of forming, storming, and performing as a team. That will definitely result in the progress of the robotics club at ZSCT. That will also add florals to the name of ZSCT, AMU. Then in future, who knows, like there will be a million and billion-dollar startup from the any of the alumni. Uh, I know like people from electrical engineering. One of my colleague, I think, Dr. Miraj, he's in particular, he has his own startup now. So now people are also looking at these things, and really those days are gone where you need to look for job from the government sector. You need to have that skill set that will help you in be it whatever you do. Like this will help you to differentiate from others. This is just some time and project management software that we use. So I just thought of sharing it with you, that Asana and Bittrex, so that as a team, right, you people work and then you need to account for your progress. So this is nice project management software that is online, and it has good features to do. So again, I'd like to end. You have to fail fast if you want to succeed sooner. So the failing should not bother. It should not bother that you don't know PCB design, you don't know like machine learning, you don't know sensors. Just put yourself in the battlefield and you will learn many things. Then with this, I acknowledge the pattern of this RoboClub, Professor Sufyan Beg, Ikram Khan, Professor Faisal Beg from Mechanical Engineering, HOD, all attending participants from ZSCT, Abid Bhai, Faraz, who are, I think, constantly working with this RoboClub, and all the team members of the RoboClub and the participants. Thank you very much for the talk. I have few takeaway as well. If someone is interested, I should go. I should talk on that as well. Just 2 slides. There is a takeaway for some design thinking process. If someone is interested, that they can email me. But yeah, I'm open to question and answer now. You can ask your queries. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello.
Feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions. You can also type in the chat window.
Oh, it seems like there is no question, like no one was listening, or like
Hello,
I was
sir.
not having any interesting thing to show.
Hello, sir. Sir.
Yeah,
No,
go
sir,
ahead.
we are listening.
Go ahead, Tabish.
Sir, I just wanted to say that you were saying that you were going to discuss about the designing ideologies, right? Would you just like you just said it's like 2 slides. I would be really interested to know about
Uh,
2 slides.
but let the question come in. That thing I will share after that. That's just some creativity. I need to like just put some kind of assignment, not exactly assignment. It will help. It will be really interesting. Yeah, that I will share. But let other participant also uh, give suggestions and comment on the work. Feel free to ask questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, please go
Yes,
ahead.
Zed,
Yeah, I
go
can
ahead.
listen.
Uh, for robotics, it is necessary to pursue MS. Okay, so is India a better place to do MS in robotics, or should we prefer a foreign country?
See, at present, if you talk about COVID situation, is there like every country has their own boundary restriction. They are not allowing even the students or anyone to come in, and everything is going in teleoperated mode online. So I would say like there are very good labs in India as well, and there are very good professors in India who are having good labs. If I start with say IIT Delhi has now a huge funding from Government of India, so I encourage everyone to go look at the things, look at the Power Lab, their program for autonomous robotics lab. Mr. Faraz, I think you all are aware with. He came as an intern there after his BTech. He stayed there for a year when I was doing PhD there. So he did a nice job there as well. He was active. Sorry. So there's a lot of opportunity at present at IIT Delhi because a huge funding is there. Then IIIT Hyderabad, people from computer science, machine vision background. There are very good professors in IIIT Hyderabad. IIT Jodhpur, Professor Suril is there, who is very expert of dynamics. Then ISC Bangalore is like name itself is, but there are definitely very good professors like Ashitava Ghoshal, and uh, uh, they work on parallel robotic, that is TVET platform. Then even some of the NITs are doing very good as well. I mentioned like CMERI lab. Uh, you can approach there for project based activity. Because they are not only in marine, but they have also other setups for mobile robot. They are doing, let's say, like localization in mining. So they are making mobile robots for mining operation. So they do a practical. They take practical challenges and then develop a solution for that. Then there is now even ISM Dhanbad. There is Dr. Arun Dayaludai. He is very good at development activities. He developed a few of the manipulators, designed himself. Then we have who else? Even NIT Srinagar, I know professors. There is one fellow from our lab who is teaching there, Majid. He's good at haptics. So haptics deals with the sense of touch. So robots are now using haptic-based feedback to do manipulation, safer manipulation. So yeah, just look for. There are very. I mean to say, like there are very good funding and good labs in India and very good professors who did their PhD from abroad, and then they are helping you. So you just need to do a background check, and according to your interest, you can approach them. So these talks are basically one of the method that you get to know these people, and that makes kind of link between the missing links. So these talks, in a sense, are also helpful in bridging the gap. Yeah. I hope I answer your question. So yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hello. So
Yeah.
there are some questions too that from Abhyuday Sharma that omnidirectional wheel could actually solve the major problems of parking a car properly as the number of vehicles increases. Could it?
Yes. So what is the question? Yes, that can help. But in the outdoor environment, the present wheels are a bit challenging. If you will search, there are few patents coming up now. Even the few video that they have these rings mounted on the outer wheel that allow even the car to go sideways. But still, because you need to move fast as well, right? So if you modify the wheel, you need to do more testing and then in different environment, because roads are not even. So these are the challenges that are there for putting it into a vehicle at present. That's what I feel. But for indoor environment, those omnidirectional wheels, like specifically Omni wheels and Mecanum wheels, are very good to 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 do the indoor applications. For outdoor, it will take some time to do that parallel parking thing. We have to
Okay.
rely on our Ackerman steering system for that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is one more question from Atul. He says, "Good evening, sir. How is the world seeing startups in robotics, and what are the problems that you face in that, and how to overcome such problems?"
And that altogether will be a kind of a different talk. Like that is a huge amount of just go ahead. You will learn. Like there is no hard and fast rule, but yes, there are takeaways. But to summarize is yes, that was not basically initiative from my side, but our group is actively involved in that. So I was made in charge of certain activities. So, but it is really a good opportunity to learn the startup perspective as well. Apart from just publishing, because earlier our main focus was on research publications and development tasks. But now, apart from this, we have two more startups from our lab. Maybe I'll describe about them some other time. Just to mention, is one is LionSpot, another is Oceana Robotics. So the LionSbot is already selling their robots in different countries. Uh, it is even deployed in Madame Tussauds in London, and there are 3-4 international airports on which you can find that robot. So there is a demand. You need to have a good team, a good vision, and then strong desire to go. So sometimes even I don't have that basically desire to like move much into the startup field, but looking at the pace with which our team is moving and the motivation that they give us, especially the prof under whom I am working. So it's also a good learning experience for me. But all the challenges I have, earlier I thought of putting some light on that, but the time is restricted, right? You cannot talk everything. So uh, but I mentioned few of the pointers that you can look at. So the place where you are located, what are the need, then how that product will be viable if you are going to sell that in the market. At the present scenario, say everyone is now looking at coming up with hand sanitizer machine and the mask, the disinfectant robot. So now there is a whole new field for the robotics in every domain, and future is like you will see for multiple solutions. I have even I'm also associated with one of the hospital projects here where they are looking at disinfectant of high touch areas, which is in line with. So this project was granted before COVID, and at present it is being well backed upon, because now we can easily test and translate. So one of the, just to mention, one of the development that we did is there are lift button here, right? So that is basically a high touch area. So we developed one mechanism to avoid people touching from the lift button directly, and then there is basically a disinfectant sheet that will come in, and then it will avoid basically the human hand to be touched at those areas, even for escalator handrails. So we are looking at these problem statement as well. So there is n number of problem statement. You just need to look at that which you want to work on, and then give a viable solution for that. So like start making, start doing, start prototyping your ideas. So that's what I would say. And then startup will come later. First, you need to like learn the trade of the art a bit. Then after that, you will find yourself like in a position that okay, yes, this is what if I will put it in the market, the people will be interested to buy it. So you need to talk from multiple agencies for that, for funding. Even in our case, here the equation is like the government fund us in that way that we need to come up with uh, a, a, a solution which is can be scaled to in the product form. It's not like just for a project is there for publication, and that is also one of the KPI for us, but that needs to be translated into the product. So we also put our effort in that direction to work for. So definitely there is a synergy that is required between your academia, the classes that you are learning concepts. Then apart from classes, how you can look at the scope of those learned concepts to implement in whatever you are doing in robotics. Because after coming here, I find like whatever I learned during my BTech and MTech and masters, they are really helpful in implementing the idea. So that gives a baseline. So that is also very important, that trains you. Sometimes I find queries from students like there is only a bookish teaching, there is only teaching from well defined pattern, but even those are also helpful. Like that's what I say. Like you need to have like look at the larger perspective and have a mutual respect for everyone, and have that courage to learn. Because and if I talk about AMU, that has immense potential. Like we have the machining lab, we have the molding lab, we have carpentry support. So everything is there, which most of the colleges, like even IIT, won't have some of the facility that is there. So so it's like how to optimally use them is also a part that we have to do ourselves. And yeah.
Okay,
So
sir.
yeah.
So there is
Thanks,
one.
Amir. So I think we should have a hard stop because I'll give some time for the takeaways. I mean, we've planned these sessions for 1 hour. We'll extend it for another half an hour from next time onwards if there is interest. And what Amir has covered today, I think will each of those topics can be a full-blown talk in itself. So we hope to get him again back for some of the topics that you guys request. So he has multiple startup that he can describe what they are doing and all those and all the design thinking, the approaches, a lot of information, lot of new things for me also. I would suggest you guys come up with the request for which topic you would like, and we'll try to get him again for one of the talks. Uh, what I would suggest now, in the interest of time, is Amir can take up some time for the takeaways. And then, if he's available, optionally, you guys can ask further questions. Otherwise, you can mail questions to the coordinators who can send it to him, and he can answer it back in his time and get it back to you. Does that sound
So
okay?
how many of
Yes,
you are
sir.
interested like to look at that problem statement as well, and willing to like give your thinking process on that? Like like people are interested, can they type there?
Interested people can comment.
Okay, Vishita, Zab, Rohit. Yeah.
Okay. I think you'll have to take it.
Sorry.
I think there's enough interest.
Interested students. Yeah. Okay. So it is just something like which our team has already worked upon. So I just wanted to do this kind of a design challenge. If someone is interested, they can come back on this to me, put an email that they are interested, and then they can do these three things that conceptualize the stable staircase climbing mechanism for carrying a payload of up to 20 kg. So this mechanism we already developed. So there are already precedents existing for the staircase climbing thing. So, but I'm not sure like how much occupied and robotic activities are going on. But still, if anyone is interested, they can take this as a problem statement. Maybe they can convert it into their.
Sir, can you provide it to us, matlab, on the AMI Robo Club mail ID?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
design
we,
actually.
yeah,
We'll post it on our groups.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
So what is the requirement is make so first conceptualize, make sketches, design principles, make the complete CAD assembly in SolidWorks, incorporate all the actuator sensors, make a very short report of the work that you will work on. And I thought of putting some attractive element to it as well by giving a price of up to say rupees 2000, so that will be in a form of book coupon, so they can buy books. And the deadline for the submission is 10th of October, that they are interested and they have this design thinking. Basically, they have this concept. So then after that, depending upon the number of replies, we can decide how to go ahead after that. Then another say 10 days or 15 days for making the CAD and coming up with some solution. So if someone is interested, they can take this challenge and then work on this. That's it. Thank you.